Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to build something together. We're going to build a completely new way of looking at the counseling process. A lot of people think it's some kind of mystery, but it's not. It's actually a clear, structured blueprint for making real, constructive change in your life. So often, we hear that counseling is just talking. But honestly, it is so much more than that. It's a purposeful journey, a collaboration. And to really get our heads around it, we're going to use a metaphor for this whole explainer. Think of it like this. We're going to build a house together, the house of change. And here's our blueprint for today. We're going to start with the foundation, which is built on 4 absolutely key questions. Then we'll build the 4 floors. These are the different phases of the process. We'll top it all off with a protective roof, which represents the counselor's core values, before we stand back and see how this whole incredible structure comes together. So let's get building. Okay, first things first, what are we really talking about when we say counseling? Well, it's a process that's all about helping you develop your own self-knowledge and personal resources. The goal isn't for someone else to swoop in and solve your problems for you. Not at all. It's about empowering you to manage them more effectively so you can live a more satisfying life. Every sturdy house needs a solid foundation, right? You can't build on shaky ground. And in counseling, that foundation is laid by asking and answering 4 fundamental questions. These questions, they create the solid base that all real, lasting change is built upon. The very first question, the starting point for everything, is this one. It's about taking a really honest look around and asking, okay, what is actually going on in my life right now? We're talking about the problems, the worries, and maybe even the opportunities you haven't had a chance to explore yet. And this step is so important. This isn't about making a giant list of every single thing that's wrong. It's about cutting through all the noise to pinpoint the core issues. The ones that, if you could just tackle them, would make a huge, significant difference in your life. So, once you've got a good handle on the present, the focus immediately shifts to the future. What would a better life actually look like for you? Not for someone else, for you. What are the changes that would genuinely make you happier? Now, pay attention to the wording here because it's really powerful. The future has to be imagined and invented. This isn't just wishful thinking. No, this is about being an architect, actively designing the future you want to live in. And that vision, it becomes your own personal motivating agenda for change. All right, you know where you are. And now you have a vision for where you want to go. The next logical question is, how? How do you actually build a bridge from here to there? What's the plan? This stage is all about strategy. It's where you get to brainstorm and explore, and it's often where you realize, hey, there are a bunch of different ways I could get there. The counselor's job here is to help you look at all those different paths and pick the ones that feel right for you and the resources you already have. And finally, we get to what might be the most important question of them all. I mean, you can have the most brilliant plan in the world, but without action, it's just a nice idea, right? So how do you actually make it all happen? This is where the rubber meets the road, because at the end of the day, helping is all about action. This question is what moves you from just planning to actually doing. And we're not talking about one giant, scary leap. It's about encouraging small, consistent actions right from the very beginning that start moving you toward that future you designed for yourself. So with that solid foundation of 4 questions poured and set, we can now start building the main structure of our house. These are the 4 floors, and they represent the 4 distinct but also overlapping phases of the counseling journey. The process really does move upward through these stages. First, you build a trusting relationship. That's floor 1. Second, you explore your story. Then third, you start to gain a deeper understanding of it all. And finally, on the top floor, you take that understanding and turn it into concrete action. Let's see how these floors connect back to our foundation. So, phase 1, relationship building, that's the ground floor. It's all about creating a safe, trusting space where you feel secure enough to be open. Then in phase 2, you tell your story, which is really about answering that first big question. What is going on? The goal here isn't just to talk, but to feel like you are truly being heard. Phase 3 moves us to a deeper understanding, connecting the dots and exploring what's possible to answer, what do I truly want? And finally, phase 4 is all about action. It's where you turn those possibilities into a concrete plan to get what you want. You see how each stage supports the next? It's a really deliberate progression. Now, to really understand how this works, let's zoom in on a crucial skill for the first 2 floors. On that first floor, relationship building, one of the most important elements is something called unconditional positive regard. All this means is that the counselor accepts you as you are, period. No judgment. It's not about approving of every single thing you do, but about respecting you as a person. And for a lot of people, that non-judgmental acceptance is what creates the safety they need to begin the real work. Then, as we move up to the second floor where you're telling your story, basic empathy becomes absolutely critical. This is the counselor's ability to really try and step into your shoes, to see the world from your perspective, and then, and this is key, communicate back to you that they get it. When you feel truly heard and understood like that, it's so much easier to share openly, which is essential for getting that clear picture of what's going on. Okay, we've got our foundation. We've built our 4 floors. Now, what holds it all together and protects everything inside? Well, that's the roof. And the roof represents the counselor's core professional values and ethics. It's what shelters the entire process and keeps it safe. And these are the essential materials that make up that roof. We're talking about genuine respect for you. Genuineness from the counselor, meaning they're a real person, not just hiding behind a professional mask. A deep-seated belief in your own ability to grow and change. And of course, a sensitivity to your unique background and strict confidentiality. And let's just be crystal clear about that last one, confidentiality. The source material says it perfectly. It is non-negotiable. I mean, that's the ultimate promise of safety and respect, isn't it? It's that promise that makes the entire house of change a truly safe space to be vulnerable and to grow. So there we have it. We've just taken a full tour of the counseling house. We laid the foundation with those 4 powerful questions. We built the 4 floors of the process, and we secured it all with the protective roof of professional values. We now have a complete, solid structure. And looking back, we can see the transformation. What might have felt like a kind of mysterious, unstructured process before is now revealed for what it really is, a logical, structured blueprint. It's a framework designed specifically to take you from understanding where you are right now to actively building the future you'd prefer to have. And ultimately, that's the key takeaway. The blueprint exists. It's a proven model for managing problems and creating opportunities in life. And so, the only question left, and this one's for you to answer, is now that you have the blueprint, what change will you build?